This fight was never about records, belts, or rankings. It was about identity. On one side stood Kamariddin Khasanov, Kamil Karate, a man built for the camera, wrapped in confidence, rhythm, and movement. A fighter whose reputation was forged through speed, flair, and a loyal social media army that believed footwork alone could solve anything. On the other side stood Andrei Efimov, the Wushu Master, quieter, heavier in presence, carrying no gimmicks, no music industry crossover, just the cold certainty of a pressure fighter who believes the ring belongs to the man willing to walk forward. Both were debuting in professional boxing, but already the difference was visible before the first punch was thrown. One bounced, one stalked, one performed, one prepared to impose. This was IBA Pro10, 4 rounds, 3 minutes each, a sprint, not a marathon. Boxing stripped of excuses. No kicks, no elbows, no spinning exits, just distance, timing, and consequences. And in boxing, the rule is simple. If you give ground without structure, the ring will eventually run out. The crowd didn't yet know it, but this fight wasn't asking who had better movement. It was asking who understood pressure, and more importantly, who understood what happens when movement turns into retreat. Because boxing doesn't reward looking busy, it rewards effectiveness. And from the opening seconds, Efimov wasn't there to entertain. He was there to test whether Khasanov could survive being pushed backward without the tools he normally relied on. This wasn't martial arts versus martial arts. This was boxing versus assumptions, and assumptions get people knocked out. First round began exactly how Khasanov wanted it to. Circling, switching stances, throwing wide hooks from unusual angles, trying to disrupt rhythm before it could form. To the untrained eye, it looked energetic. To a boxing eye, it looked inefficient. The punches traveled long routes. The hands returned slowly. And most importantly, none of it stopped Efimov from stepping forward. That's the first truth of pressure fighting. You don't need to win exchanges early, you need to deny comfort. Efimov's jab wasn't flashy, but it was purposeful. Every step forward shaved space off the ring. Every jab reminded Khasanov that movement without authority doesn't score. The karate fighter kept backing up, giving ground voluntarily, trusting that angles and motion would protect him. But boxing doesn't work on trust, it works on structure. Efimov wasn't cutting the ring perfectly, but he didn't need to. He was winning the psychological battle simply by refusing to retreat. Each time Khasanov threw a looping shot and missed, Efimov gained something more valuable than points: confidence. The crowd could feel it. The commentary hinted at it. The round wasn't violent, but it was revealing. Efimov was dictating the geography of the fight. Khasanov was reacting. That's always dangerous in boxing, because when you spend a round moving backward, you teach your opponent one thing: that you don't want to stand your ground. And once a pressure fighter senses that, the fight begins to change. The warning signs were already there. Khasanov didn't lose the round loudly. He lost it quietly, and quiet losses are the ones that lead to brutal endings. Round 2 is where boxing separates intention from execution. Khasanov tried to adjust, switching stances more frequently, throwing quick flurries, even landing a few cleaner shots. But nothing changed the fundamental problem. Every exchange ended with him closer to the ropes. Efimov's pressure wasn't reckless. It was patient. He accepted a few touches to keep walking forward because he understood the trade-off. In boxing, pressure doesn't mean punching constantly. It means owning space. Khasanov, by contrast, was covering distance without purpose. His movement looked busy, but it wasn't creating angles that led to offense. And the judges don't score dancing, they score control. Efimov's confidence was now visible. His punches were landing with more authority. His body language changed. He began to demand exchanges, even gesturing for Khasanov to stand and fight. That's a dangerous moment, when a pressure fighter believes he has your respect. Khasanov smiled at the end of the round, but it was a performance smile, not a confident one. Because deep down, he knew the math wasn't working. 4 rounds mean urgency. You can't give away space and time simultaneously. Boxing punishes passivity. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. It doesn't matter how good you look doing it. If you're not making the other man hesitate, you're losing. And by the end of round 2, Efimov wasn't hesitating at all. He was loading up the pressure. The trap was forming, the ring was shrinking, and Khasanov was running out of answers. Pressure fighters live for one moment when the runner touches the ropes. That moment came early in the 3rd round. Khasanov circled through wide and suddenly there was nowhere left to go. His back brushed the ropes, and in boxing, that's a death sentence if your hands aren't disciplined. Efimov didn't rush, he stepped in. Left hook first, sharp, sudden, unseen. It landed clean, snapping Khasanov's balance before his brain could register danger. Then came the right hand, straight, heavy, final. The kind of punch that ends conversations instantly. Khasanov collapsed, his body folding before his mind could react. The referee didn't need long. The legs were gone. The fight was over. This wasn't luck. It wasn't a fluke. It was accumulation of pressure, space denial, and technical mistakes. Khasanov's hands were too wide. His punches took too long to return. His back was straight. His head was high. Against a pressure fighter, those flaws don't survive. Efimov didn't celebrate wildly. He didn't need to. The job was done. He had proven the point boxing always proves. Movement without structure invites punishment. And when the punishment comes, it comes fast. The crowd reacted not just to the knockout, but to the inevitability of it. Everyone watching understood. Once the ropes were involved, this ending was only a matter of seconds. This fight will be remembered for the knockout, but it should be studied for the lesson. This wasn't karate versus wushu. This was boxing versus misunderstanding. Khasanov didn't fail because he lacked toughness or courage. He failed because boxing demands different priorities. You can't give ground endlessly. You can't throw without resetting. You can't rely on movement without making your opponent pay for chasing you. Efimov understood that. He didn't need elite footwork or flashy combinations. He needed patience, pressure, and belief in fundamentals. And fundamentals win when everything else breaks down. For crossover fighters, this bout is a warning. Boxing is unforgiving. It doesn't care where you came from. It only cares what you do inside those ropes. Efimov earned his victory by forcing boxing onto his opponent, not by adapting to Khasanov's style, but by refusing to. And that's why the ending felt inevitable. Pressure always wins when it's disciplined. Space always disappears when it's not defended properly. And ego always collapses faster than people expect when reality arrives. Khasanov will recover. Fighters always do. But this night belongs to Efimov, the man who walked forward, trusted the process, and proved once again that in boxing, you don't need to run faster. You need to stand smarter. And when you do, the knockout eventually comes.